No. No, yes, maybe. Let's go. Fish. No, no, no. Don't play with it. Don't play with the fish. Long day. Fighting with Unity all day. And God, I miss Rust. God, I do miss my Rust. I mean, C# is such an ugly language. So, that being... Wrong button. So, where were we? We can play a game. We have sound. We have... This is not right, right? Wow. So... Okay. And music was working too, right? Yes, let's do this. We kind of hacked in audio end of last stream, right? So we kind of did it, but I wouldn't call this done, right? But after that, the game is done. Well, kind of. We still want to do the improved DES a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to do the bonus for this experiment, but we had a few other leftovers, right? That, like the Z fighting for pickups, explosion pass editor, no. Godot crossfade toggle buttons. Yeah, I think we'll do like a little brain freeze. We do a little brain freeze. The game of brain freeze. Freeze, freeze, freeze. Freeze the game. Why are you saying the stream is unstable? The bitrate is too high. But why? I have to redo my whole setup here, but we're on a timeline. We have 8-9 days left this month, so let's get this done with, right? So the problem was, right, we kind of hacked in the sound manager. But then we did this weird audio clips where we load the asset in, and then when we trigger the sound, we... yeah. And then the update, we do the cleanup, so... Right now, we have no control over the amount of audio sources we have, right? So if we collect gazillions of coins, right? If we if you get gazillions of coins, we get this weird, okay, let's do this, right? For the magnet, it's very... We get this... So what I want... Right, and we're gonna do it right here. So actually, maybe we just have it in here, right? We have a class sound config. Will we do it like this? It's just an idea, right? And a sound config has an audio clip. Is it a sound config? Is it a sound instance? Is it a sound names, right? So I load the clip in there. So I need a constructor, right? So I have a sound config constructor, and that definitely gets the audio clip, right? Actually, that gets the string audio clip key, right? Or just key. Just key for now. This sounds good, and we will remember the handle, right? So we will have an async operation handle. We will have a handle. Actually, this is a handle, right? If we load the asset asynchronously, which we want to do. So we can do this, and then we can have a bool explaining why bool. We have a trigger, right? That will trigger this. For now, we don't do anything. So, I wonder if you actually need an update. The thing is, we need to keep instances, right? So I also want, an in saying amount, right? How many do I want to create? And this is basically private. Let's use game objects for now. I mean, not sure if we... This is a list of game objects, right? And this is instances, which is a new list, right? So this is not fully what I want. Why can't I? Oh, it's in addressables, right? So it's not in resources, it's in addressables, because we switched from load to load async, so we switched from resources to assets. So we load the audio clip once, but we want game objects and these game objects, right? So for does it need to be a collection or can it just be an amount? This doesn't work, right? So let's make a for loop out of this. Right, very simple for loop, and then for each of them we just instantiate this, right? So we create a game object, add an audio source, and actually I'm not sure if we want to do this here or if we want to have a callback for when the clip is loaded, right? Because we could say handle dot completed plus equals onload completed. And obviously we need to private void onload completed. And I'm pretty sure the signature is wrong. Right. So this needs an async operation handle of the matching type, but we can do that. So this needs an async operation handle of audio clip, right? And this is the handle. Right, so is it mean, this is what we want, right? So, and actually I want to create the instances here. I want to create the instances here because then we can also say audio source dot clip is the result, right? And we only do that if the load is successful. So if handle dot result equals async operation. What type is this? What type is this? T object. What object? Oh. Okay. Do we have status maybe? Yeah. We say if we have a result, right, then we initialize our. Wow, that was not good. And obviously amount private int amount 0, and initialization we just say amount this dot amount equals amount, right? And then we can use this dot amount. No, this is this dot amount, right? And actually we make this private, so we don't even have to use this here, and we can use this here, right? So when we create the sound config, we initialize the loading, and when we trigger it, we do something. So right here we don't have a dictionary of audio clips, right? We have a private dictionary of audio effect ID and sound config, right? And config is not 100% correct, but this autocompletion was complete. Foo. This looks better, right? We probably could just say, can we just say new here? All right, so in configure, what we can do, and I'm gonna add a little helper, right? I'm gonna have a private void add audio effect, right? The effect, the int amount. And what this does is actually audio effect ID equals new audio what did we call it? Sound config. We're mixing and matching sound. Oh, I need to do a cleanup here, right? So we will rename this to sound effect and use this here. And this is audio effect ID. And actually, it's not even the ID, it's the key, right? It's the key. We don't care about the ID in this case. So in this case, it would, for example, well, it would be the key. I am all over the place, I know, but we're wrapping this up now. Right, and obviously cannot access private constructor. I thought this was public by default or friend or whatever. So what we can do now here is, and we probably don't need the enumerator here. What we can do is we can say add audio effect. You saw that autocomplete, right? So the audio effect ID is coin pickup. This auto completion is completely broken. All right, this is sound picked coin. And let's say we want 10 of these, right? And then we do the same, and we have the fish des. And we just have one of these, right? And probably we need more parameters here. This will be extended, but this replaces all of this, right? And then we can make this void again and remove the return here. And have this void again. Makes things a bit more streamlined, right? So what I want to do here as well is have a public void update, right? What happened? Not my day, right? But in the update, we do a different for each loop, right? For each KVP key value pair in sound effect, okay, we do an update, right? And we'll keep this for the moment, just for reference, right? Right now, I'm not caring about cleanup, so but this probably will go somewhere in here, right? Oh. So if sound effects contains the key, we get the sound effect, right? Actually, this is sound effect. Let's actually call this sound configs. The naming here is a bit all over the place, right? Okay, let's not overdo this, right? So we do this, we do this, we do this. And if we found one, all we do is, no, we trigger it. Right, but the trigger doesn't do anything yet, and it's even private. So let's make that public. And the trigger is nothing else. We have this, we did this, we did this, we did this. We just play it, right? We need to find a free one that is not playing, but all of this, I'm not sure if we actually need to hook it up to the scene tree. I'm not sure, right? But so when we trigger a sound effect, and we can optimize this later, but we want to find one that is not playing, right? We have our instances. So for each instance. Oh, come on. This auto completion is completely. If instance, right? And an instance is a game object. Oh, that's ugly. That is ugly. We can do better, but let's right? If this instance is not playing, what is the actual error? What is the actual error? Oh, it's a property. It's not a... So if we found one that is not playing, we return true, right? And yes, if you have a few hundred, this loop is suboptimal, so we should have a list of stuff that is available. If it is not playing, oh, actually we say AC equals instance audio source, so we don't have to get it twice, right? If it's not already playing, we just say play. Ignoring loop and stuff for the moment, I think. Let's see how badly we broke it. Let's see how badly we broke it. So the thing is, if you look closely, right, we have our 10 game objects here, which are not really named well. So let's fix that really quick. And that's actually, I think this also should store the key, right? Because then we can say here, we say var name equal, actually we can say, no, that's the trigger, that's the wrong loop. I was looking for this loop, right? We can say go.name equals dollar. And sound config is a little bad here. Right? But I'm hand waving a lot right now. I know. So these are sound configs, right? So we can actually see them and they have names. That is much better. But I would like them to be at least parented to the sound manager, right? Just for cleanliness. So when we create, right, so we pass in the transform of the parent transform, right? I'm not sure if this is the best way to do it, but that means here we have to we just want them under ourselves, right? And then when we create them here, where we define the name, we say go transform. Is it set parent? I would have just used parent, but fine with me. So if I pause this, you see all our sounds are under the sound manager. Just a little tiny detail. The behavior should be exactly the same. Right, so we play at most 10 sounds now. Maybe 10 is not enough because this thing feels slightly anticlimactic, right? So what if I do 1,000? Oh, don't, right? But just so we have 1,000 here now. Right, so that doesn't feel right. So we have multiple problems, right? We need a, if we have very similar sound effects, we need a minimum distance, right? So what if we if in the update, right, where we do the update, we give time dot. I want actually the time here, right? And that is of type float, I guess. That's of type float. Well, there's a reason for this, right? So this is time, and we're copying too much stuff around, right? But so what we can do here in the update, we can say set time to time, right? And then we can say private float last trigger equals 0.0. But if we actually end up triggering something, right? If we actually here we say last trigger equals, can we just use time.time here without copying it? That is even better, right? That is even better. That means we don't need this, and we can do undo this ugliness, and we can undo this ugliness. I saw time. No, time is a singleton. Okay, fair enough. So we remember when we last triggered something, right? So what I want to put here is float min separation. Min delay. Min delay. All right, so we say min separation. And then when we initialize it, for example, what if we say the minimum separation is half a second, right? And the min separation default is just 0. All right, so we can fair enough, yeah. Right, so we can define the minimum separation, and what that means is if min separation is larger than 0, right? Then we say last trigger and we say if last trigger. Can you stop auto-completing this wrong? Thank you. If the last trigger is larger than time.time minus the min separation, right? If it's not long enough ago, then we just return false. And let's actually make that very, let's only trigger the coins every 2.5 seconds. Far too much, right? Just like the thousands, but better to hear. I hope I know what I'm doing. So it triggers. So it triggers only every 2.5 seconds, right? So 2.5 seconds is obviously too long. So we probably want something half a second is too long, right? And that depends a little bit on the sound and the highest frequency in the sound. And So now the coin should only trigger every half second, which avoids the weird sound, right? But that's not fast enough. So what if we make that just making values up here as we go. So this is already very close, but still not multiple triggers on the same frame, right? And you hear we still have the distinct triggering. I mean, I can make this very small, right? And then we need to find at what point it gets really ugly. I wish we had a spawn a million coins button. Right now you can already... This was too much, right? So somewhere in between this and this. Just making values up as I go. I don't know what I'm doing. And again, all of this should probably come from a config file, a spreadsheet, or somewhere else. Not my job, right? Can you even hear these sounds? Can you even hear these sounds? Or only hear them secondhand? I never checked if the stream can hear the sounds. Okay, so it's good to debug sound when you can't hear the sound. I don't want to get an ugly feedback loop, so let's actually test this once more. Doo-doom, doo-doom. Yes, no? Okay, give me a second. That is not good, right? Good, right? The problem is now I can't hear myself anymore, but... How do we do this? How do we do this? I hope you're hearing the sound now. Right, let's turn off the music, which we can't because that dialog is in the way. We have to fix that. Let's turn off the music. Oh, that's... Okay. I wonder how I probably have to find my headphone. Right, so audio is working fine now. Let's just pretend it is. I'm gonna take away your audio again, so I have audio again. Well, the nice thing is this works, right? So let's turn down the 1000 because we probably get away with, I don't know, what is the length of this audio clip, right? That's the core question. What is the length of this audio clip? So the length of this audio clip is, right, the length is 1.12 seconds. So this means we have 50 per second. So 50 should be plenty, right? Just ballparking it. I think it needs slightly more separation. I know, I'm sorry. This is not good. This is not good. How do we do this? Could find a cable from there to there. Let's use it like this. I mean, that the principle is clear, right? So, and I think update is doing nothing, right? But the thing is, we don't destroy the audio source anymore, right? We don't destroy the audio source. We just keep it running. And I think we'll keep it at that. That is audio for Unity, right? So polish audio SFX in Unity. So we can go back to, I need to remove that from the repo. This is a sound config, right? We put that into a config, and whenever we say config, we mean this should probably come from a file. It's much better than before. It's still not perfect, but we have a bit of control. And actually, I'm going to commit this. I'm going to rebase this. I'm going to push this. We still don't have automated builds. So there are a few tiny things I want to address, right? Unity move settings in front of results, right? So, because when we play it here, and that I'm not going to do any more audio work for now on this. So the thing is, this works, right? This works as expected. But if we die and then go here, then the dialog is here, right? The dialog is visible. The result dialog is here, right? And the pause menu is here, and the settings dialog is visible, but it's behind, right? The panel here is behind. So if I hide the result, it's behind that, right? So we need to probably just change. Can we, what happens if you do this? So it's still working, right? We play, we die, it's still working. And then we open the settings and that fades in nicely. And because it's the same layout, it's nicely in front and it actually works, right? So that was an easy fix, but an important one. And then we can respawn, right? So that was a super easy fix. So let's Actually, we didn't update the done list. Yeah, it's not 2025, right? So we did this. I'm not going to go long for today. We do a small polishing run, and then tomorrow or Thursday we switch back to the Godot version, right? But this is the game. This is the game. All we have to do is do builds and do icons and loading screens. And okay, this is not the game, but this is a game. Polish sound, polish SFX, right? That was the last commit. So I'm gonna say as fix dialog ordering in Unity. Right, that's just basically, I think it's just changing the order here. And we really, I wonder if we can tell. So we're animating the face and offset in the material here, right? I wonder if we can tell Unity not to serialize that. But that's a material, right? So we don't have a script here. So how do we avoid having these two serialized? Unity avoid serializing material properties. It's going to be a lot of oh. So what they're saying is, if I go to the shader and remove these two here, right? And then they're not in the shader anymore. And they're not in the material anymore, which means we cannot animate it anymore for testing in the editor, but it's still working, right? So that is a good fix, right? Remove face and offset from background shader properties to avoid repository noise for Unity. That is a good one. That is a good one. I'm not going to even put it in there. It's minor. Yeah, and we fixed this one, right? And not the Z fighting of the pickups. So let's fix the Z fighting of the pickups, right? And okay, how do I enforce that so we have something for testing, right? So you see this here, this is because every frame the rendering order is different. So how can we do this, right? Okay, let's go back there again. Because the problem is, let's see, can we, so we have it here, right? So if I go to the scene, can I please get this coin here, right? I actually, so the obstacles here, there's coins, right? It's one of these. I wish I could just click it. That would make it easy, right? So the problem is this coin here. So we could set the order in layer for each individual. Okay. Unity, avoid the fighting between sprites on same layer. I'm not going to create 1,000 layers, right? I mean, we're batching them in the same order, so they should be in the same order, right? Move all sprites in the Z as a function of X and Y. Yeah, but that breaks since we're dropping, right? Okay, so void Unity, avoid sprites, Unity sprite order changes between frames. So the problem is whatever I do, it will break the... The problem is since we have an animation, I assume it's batching by the texture. You can't use sorting layers, right? What if, right? What if? And the thing is, we have a Z position here, right? We have a Z position here, and that is layer dependent. So it really isn't a problem for these, right? Because they're, well, it is a problem for these as soon as I swim near them, right? Because when I swim near them, the magnet will start to drag at them. It's so hard to hit. It's so hard to hit. So our own engine just rendered them in the order they were given, right? So that was never an issue. How do I select this coin here? What does this do? Oh, that disabled selection. I want the opposite. Can I? Okay, I would love to just select this object here, right? Finding that is gonna be interesting, so. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. So, this here, right? The Z value is the same for the neighbors. But we could just slightly increase the Z value by that, and the precision of the Z buffer is pretty high, right? So whenever we spawn an object, we increase the Z value with a little wraparound, right? Because, for example, the fish, where's the fish? The fish is on 10, right? And the coin is on 0.69. Oh, because we have two different layers for the coins, right? Not sure why we have two different layers for the coins. Maybe it's just precision. Maybe it's just a precision thing this here, right? But if we go back here to this one here, right? To this one, and then if we say, okay, let's make this value here a little bit higher. Okay. Or a little bit lower. Doesn't change a thing, right? Because Z is completely ignored. Well, this is in the back now, right? And if I set this to 6, it's in the front, right? So again, back, front. And that would fix the problem we have, right? Let's recreate the startup problem with the rain. If we can. Right, we have this problem up here. Where is it? Here, right? So let's find that coin. If we can't click it, we just... It's probably at the very end because it's... It's an explosion coin, right? So I want this coin here. Let's use this one. It's close enough, right? So it has this problem of being back and front. So if I just set the Z here to 0.7, right? It will always be in the back. If I set it to 0.6, it will always be in the back because we initialize them to 0, right? And if they're both at 0, it will get ugly. But if I slightly bias them, so they have very, right? Both 0 fighting here. And if I say this is 0.001, right? Suddenly they have a very clear order. So or I could probably even do this. I'm not sure how many zeros I can use here, so that's too many. And this has to do with the float precision, right? But we could have a bias and just increase that and have that wrap around, right? So whenever we spawn a coin, we give it a slight Z value variation. So whenever we spawn a pickup, we give it a slight Z value variation, right? And the pickups are spawned in the game manager. And actually, the sad thing is we instantiate that in different places, right? So what I want to do is we have a private float pick up Z bias, right? And then whenever we instantiate, create instance, that's the zone. Whenever we instantiate, right? The transform here, where do we set the position? What is this? This is spawn coin explosion, right? Let's do the rain. So let's do the rain first, because so this is the position, and this is our Z, right? So what if we say plus pick up Z buyers, and then we say pick up Z buyers equals no. And we want this value to be in range of 0 to 1, right? Probably we should have a helper. Probably we shouldn't do that. Probably we should have a private float next pick up Z bias, right? And that is basically this. And I'm not sure why I can't type private, right? And then we just return the pick up Z bias. Not ideal for performance. I mean, I hope this would get inline. So whenever we instantiate a new object, we just add this to the position, right? So instantiate here. This is, I mean, we already have the layer offset, but we just say next pick up Z bias, right? Because this is, I mean, this could be, technically this could be an obstacle or a pickup, right? So using the pickup Z bias here might not be the best idea, but, and for the dummy, we don't care, right? And then this is the zone spawning. And this is the coin explosion, right? And somewhere here we have a position. Position. We store the position, right? And in the loop here, we say position.z equals z plus next pickup Z buyers. Right, so that's the coin explosion, and this one we already did. This could work. We just want to force a rendering order, right? So Let's see if we can create the problem again. Right, so if you look at these up here, if you look at these, they don't do this weird jumping anymore, right? Because can we find them? I think they have to be somewhere here-ish. There, right? Because this has a this is 0.01579, and then the other one is there was it, right? And this is 0.21. So bit of a dirty trick, but I think it fixes the visual glitch, right? So let's see if we, I mean, all of these look stable, so don't see anything weird going on. So let's just play the game a bit. But it was very obvious, this jumping between in the render order, and since we didn't use, it's not a 3D object, right? It's a sprite. It looks like a 3D coin, but it is a sprite. So we have another, actually so we have one slight visual glitch, because when we have coins in the same position like we have here, right? And I'm so glad I left that. So technically, this should be dependent. Can I get it even better? Right, for example, this here, they should intersect, but let's pretend that just one is in the back and one is in the front, and we can't see how far the distance is, right? There's no overlap while they turn, right? There's no overlap. So I still think the renderer is broken in Unity. This looks weird. This is not round coins, but so fix set fighting for pickups by adding Z bias, right? Fix the fighting of pickups in Unity. Pickup Z buyers. How are we doing for time? I'm not feeling 200% today, so we're not going to do this, right? This is future obsolete. We really prefer the Godot version. This is Godot, this is Godot, this is Godot. And oh, remove debug UI. So ideally, what I would like to do is to have a flag that says have a debug and a release build, right? So Unity debug, release, and master builds. So can we create a new build profile, right? Can we create a master build profile? And then in the build profile, we disable all, we make it like this is the release build, right? And also I want kind of a demo build. But let's do the master build first, right? So we go to File, Build Profiles. File. That starts well. Oh, it's a wrong Unity version. Build profiles. Build settings. Oh, Unity, can it just Additive features, build profiles. Wouldn't it be nice if they at least said, hey, by the way, this was added in this version? When were build profiles added to Unity? In 6,000. So, okay. Can we file build settings? That's not, I'm every time you open this, something goes seriously wrong, right? So I can't have a new build profile in. Okay. Okay, that makes me sad. I think we're gonna do a bit of cleanup here. That I could have a different scene, right? But I actually want the code to be different. So I want 2 different Windows builds. Unity 2022 different build targets. Build target, build profiles, right? But this gets us back to Unity 6. There's use environmental if you want to get this gift. Okay, environment variables. But I don't want to do Unity Cloud builds, right? So how can we do preset? What does a preset manager do? Nah, that's not what we want. That's not what we want, right? No, that's default settings for quality. So I don't think we can actually do that. That makes me sad. So we're not doing a release with Unity. I mean, we could just say, hey, this one here, right? Be gone. And that's what we will do, right? For now, it's I mean, we still need to remove the C and D, right? For the distance hex, and I also would like to make this so at least check if you're development or release build, right? Maybe we just if dev that for the editor, right? So it maybe we say if Unity editor, right? We do this, and then we also had the K somewhere. I would so love to have a demo target. So here's what we're gonna do. While I'm offline, not today, not during the stream, but till the next time we use Unity, I'm gonna update to Unity 6 and we see what breaks. Right? And obviously, our balancing is totally off for the magnet boost and everything. This is just the fun version, right? For release, we need different levels, but we're still aiming for parity, right? So I'm not too concerned about this. Then we have other things like, where do I set the icon? So where do I set the icon? I can override it, right? But where do I set it, right? And then we have the splash image. Right? I mean, we get the mate with Unity. We're not gonna. And did you just close that dialog for me? Yes, you did. So actually, wouldn't it be nice if we use this? Because it's nice that I can pick the color and then it asks for, right? So this fades nicely to the game. So if I press play here, I'll not in editor, right? But that is nice. And what we could also do is it's so nice that you keep putting not too bad, but I think we go back to the light on dark. And thank you for changing the color. We could add our logo here, right? We could put the pre-rendered background image there. Fair enough, right? Other settings. And publishing settings, I will do. Oh, here we select the icon, right? So asset. Can you create folder icons, right? Reveal in Finder. And actually have a second one here because we do have the icon, right? I hope this is still Unity. I hope we did have the icon here, right? So we put the icon right here. Right, and that is right, that is 1024 by 1024, and that means here we can select the icon. Ooh. Nice. Nice, right? So that's some bad mangling of the icon there, but it's what we got. So Fiiish version is 3.0.1, right? Default company name we'll fix later for reasons. So some minor cleanups, right? I didn't push that. I forgot to press enter. So we updated the to-do. I'm not sure. Offset and face is set to 0 now, right? Because we reset the material. It's still the sampled scene, which is fine. We removed the cheats. We changed the version. We changed the icon. We add the icon settings, right? Some pre-publishing cleanup for Unity. So I think this is the Unity version. Oh, there's one thing. There's one thing. We still have the des anime. What didn't I save? What didn't I save? Really? Okay, we're gonna sneak that into the next commit, right? So when we die, I wish I had when we die, the obstacles are still there, right? And when we respawn, they fade out. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is this mess here, right? Is this mess. So what I will do, and this. So this is generic UI, right? Let's create a folder game UI here. Right, so this is game UI. And what do I want in there, right? So I want the in-game pause menu in here, right? I want the result dialog in here. And I want the HUD in here, right? Just a bit of cleanup. And actually the whole game UI canvas. The HUD script is... Why is the HUD script on this? Shouldn't the HUD script be on the HUD? So I believe, oh, this is going to be ugly now, but I believe the HUD script should actually be on this element, right? Oh, it is? Wait, what? Wait. I think this thing here is duplicated actually. Let's see if the HUD is actually updating correctly. Looks good to me. All right, so we can... Okay, works for me. So I don't want to do too many changes in one, right? So all the game UI elements are in prefabs now. That's step one, right? That's step one. And what I want actually is the game UI canvas also be its own element and have a script to initialize all these components, right? So So do I do the script first? I'll do the thing is we can't, so we want a new scene for that, right? We want a new scene. So, and this is scary, right? So scene, create new scene, right? And we call this the game scene, main scene, whatever you want to call it, right? And if I switch to it, I wish I could have both of them open, right? So can we copy and what do I want to save? I didn't change any. I would like to paste here, right? Edit, paste. Why can't I? I can paste here, right? I don't want this. So this is our work scene, right? Yes, I want to save this. This is our work scene where we can see everything and see how it looks like and how it aligns, right? Not sure why. Oh, this is game. Right, so this is our work scene. But we have our game scene now. Our game scene, and here we have our game UI canvas, and I want to add a script to that. Do we, or do I really want to do that cleanup step now? Yes. And this, if I build, right? If I build this here will be our default scene, right? So if I build and run, I'm not going to do the cleanup today. But you see where this is going, right? We want to make this tree clean and initialize it at runtime. But looking at the time, 1.5 hours is what we had planned for today, and we want to focus on Godot tomorrow. So I'm gonna finish this build. Wouldn't it be nice if I could make this bigger? Come on. This is so slow. Why? Right, so we get the nice mate with Unity, and something is wrong with the initialization, but only in... Let's actually turn this off. Maybe this should have some sound. File it under polishing. Can I just... Thank you. Summary, explore, bundles, right? And this is where all our stuff is. Nice. And I can just press Command B to... I mean, this is taking too long, right? But Why is this dialog on? Why does this dialog start with on? Because our game scene, if you look at the sampled scene, right, who turns off the settings dialog and it's awake? We have the in-game settings dialog, right, which is we have the in-game settings dialog, right, here, which is fadeable, right? So somebody fades that, and that, I think that's the, who fades that on startup? Is it the game? Who fades that? And why is the... Really, I have to save it every time I... Ah, okay. Who fades the in-game settings dialog, right? If I just press play on this scene here, it starts in the correct state, right? Because somebody faded out this thing here. The alpha is 0, right? Somebody faded that out. Yeah. And this is the in-game pause menu fades out the settings dialog. Right, and that's in this scene it works as well, I guess. But then we have the initialization order problem, right? So what we actually want is, oh, now it's getting, how do we do that? So I really want to so if we have the UI here, right? If we have the prefabs here for the game UI, probably the in-game pause menu, right? If I go in here, I wonder if this should also be presets, right? So I wonder if I should do this and this, right? Just to separate them out, and then I can we can work on them individually, right? It's nice that when I go into a prefab, and back out again, it forgets my Unity. I'll call it a day. We're good enough. We did good. We almost have a launchable version, and I'm super afraid. And I'm just gonna, in my current state, I'm just gonna mess it up massively today, right? Start to clean up scene and split it into prefabs, into prefabs, right? So this is the sampled scene. Oh, this is the icon we forgot. This is the editor build settings, right? This is the game. This is the prefabs we just created. So what I really want, right? The in-game pause menu. The in-game pause menu has a script. And it doesn't know about the game, which is weird, but it has a pause play toggle, right? And it has a settings dialog. So instead of having the settings dialog here, we could go into the script, right? We could go into the script. And then on setup say, hey, the settings dialog, right, is prefab. I forgot. Unity instantiate load prefab. Right. This is a good start, right? So we can just, do we want to do it like this? No. Is this Unity 6 again? Can I please just get my Unity version? It's not that hard. So the problem is I don't want to instantiate at a position, right? So what if we had a public prefab, was it prefab? Game object. Oh, it's just a game object, right? And that is the settings dialog prefab. And that's null, right? What if we had that here? Right, and then we just drag the settings dialog in here and say on setup, right? On setup, if settings dialog prefab is not null, thank you, then instantiate settings. I auto-completed wrong, right? Instantiating settings dialog. Right, so instead of having this, if we have the prefab and then spawn it, we use that one, right? Means if we go here and then the in-game pause menu, wait, instantiating settings dialog, right? And obviously we did not, we need to reparent it, right? We need to parent it to ourselves. So, this probably gives us a game object, I assume. Oh, it's parented to us. So, but that means if we disable this thing here for good, right? We should have a second one in here, right? So we have a this is the one we instantiated at runtime, right? And basically, if we do that, we address that from now on, right? maybe we should remember the settings dialog here instead of the fadeable UI element. But that means we have a fixed instantiation order now, right? So it's not this one that we see, it's this one that we see, right? And why is that not faded out? Because something is weird here. Why is this faded in? I think we remove this noise. Right. So we should have done it like this from the start. So let's try this again. Null reference. So game is not set because we never set it, right? So who's calling this? Who's calling start on this? The instantiate, right? Is indirectly, so we don't have a canvas group yet because so we cannot call setup so the problem is, right? And this is ugly. So we're instantiating the settings dialog here, right? And then we call the fade out here, which is technically right after that, right? But the problem is the settings dialog here, in-game settings dialog dot start, right? Is called here. So right, so initiate it here, and then much later when Unity decides, hey, now is the time, where is it? Come on. I think we're gonna remove these debugs. They're just noise. Here's the start, right? So much later. So this here has to fail, right? We could wait for one frame. We could do the old wait for one frame till everything is initialized, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to remove this debug line, which disappeared the moment I clicked on it, right? Let's try this again. So let's remove this load file debug here, right? And then we have, oh, come on, Unity. I just wanted to click all of them. Right, so we can remove this here. And this is a bit noisy. And this is a bit noisy, right? Let's do them all. I probably missed a few. Yes, and I'm still in play mode. This is better, right? But the problem is The in-game settings dialog start, right? So game is not set for the in-game settings dialog, right? We never set game. We never set the game, right? So what if we had a void? The problem is, right? Do we even want to? The thing is, right? If I go here, the autocomplete there even said, hey, what are you doing, right? Unity instantiate and wait for start. I'm not the only one, right? Okay, so we probably don't want start, we want awake, right? So we could remove this, right? But the thing is, we could just say, instead of doing start, right? Instead of doing start, we could say void awake and do the setup and configure here, right? That would remove this problem here, I hope. Let's actually see when this awake is called, right? And we're editing in play mode, my bad, right? So we're instantiating it, we're awaking it, and then we have a different problem, right? But that different problem is... what is that problem? Object reference not set, line 33. Line 33. In-game settings dialog, line 33. Can you actually jump to the point of the arrow? So we don't have a game, right? We don't have a game. So oh, that is not bad. That is not bad, right? So the problem is right, we could wait for having a game set. So we could delay this here. Right, so we could make this an I enumerator. And then obviously this needs to be an I enumerator, and this needs to return this, right? Awake cannot be an I enumerator. Really? Really, really. I mean, what we could do is we could have a public void. Just playing with variants here, right? Right, and we say if game is null, return. Right, and then the in-game pause menu could say settings dialog dot set game. And actually let's say var go equals this, right? Because we need different components of that. And then we say var in game settings dialog. I'm not sure. Huh? It I'm not questioning set game to I hope we have a game, right? We do have a game. And this is because we're mixing initialization modes, right? Once we are clear and all of them have the same initialization mode, where did I miss the semicolon? Here, right? Well, probably this should also be awake and then it rippled through. But let's see if we have clean initialization now. No. So player is still null, right? Oof, I'm breaking stuff now. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, not now. So the problem is the top level game, right? The game here. The game has the game manager. The game has the player, right? The game has the player. The game has the player, but only after its start is completed, right? So here we have the player, not before. Here we have the player, so we should only initialize the UI after this, right? The in-game UI after this. Usually you would have multiple scenes, your menu scene and your transition scene and your game scene, and that doesn't matter. That wouldn't break, but we have one scene for everything, right? And the problem is, okay, let's actually wait, but game start is game is initialized before the UI, right? Instantiating settings. It's instantiating the settings before the game, but we cheated last time, right? We said script execution order. Oh, settings has a higher priority than game. Why? From top to bottom. So if we add so we say the in-game pause menu, right? The in-game pause menu comes after the game. The settings dialog doesn't come at all anymore, right? Add now breaks our... And I did all of that. Oh, Unity. I did all of that. Oh, okay. That worked. So we initialize this after this, right? And ideally we would have this and then initialize the gate, this top part and then this bottom part, right? So that's what we're trying to fix, but on the way there we're hitting a few. So we start the game. We start the settings dialog, we are waking the settings dialog, and we still get a... Why is our canvas group not there? Why is our canvas group not there? I mean, in-game settings, right, has a canvas group. Because we have the same problem, right? We awake here, so I don't want to spread too many debug logs here, but fadeable UI element dot awake, right? And this is game object name. Game object name is good, right? And it's awake, and I'm editing in play mode, my bad, which Unity, just tell me don't do what you're doing instead of telling me don't do what you're doing and then failing, right? So that fixed it, right? Because we evoc, let's fix that typo real quick, right? I didn't save in time, so oh. I'm not sure I want to do all of this in awake, but now, okay. We awake the fadables, right? I'm not sure why this is... Oh, that's the settings button. That's this button here, right? That's this button. That's the awake. Then we have the fadable. Then we start the game, right? Then we load the player data. Then we instantiate the settings dialog. And then we awake the fadable for the in-game settings dialog, which is this one here, right? The fadable on this. And then we awake the dialog itself, which is okay. And then we have the buttons, right? And then oh, that's me pressing buttons. But if I do this now, yes, save and continue. A problem is initialization order, right? Because it's just out of, oh. Wow. What is the error? Line 3. I mean, I don't need scene management, right? It's unused anyway, so let's remove all of this. Let's check if it still works in editor, but it compiles, so it should work, right? And that's what you get for not working with a clean scene from second one, right? This is working, this is working, this and this is working. I'm pretty sure there's some kinks, right? And I can still die, so that works. So let's do this again. Yes, save and continue. I don't know what, because I just saved. This is taking far too long. I'm not sure what it's doing, actually. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up. So now we have the correct initialization, right? Yes, we want the background to fade in at this point. So we want shall we fix that real quick? Oh, the kill button doesn't work, right? So let's kill. Right, so the problem is here we fade out and we fade in. So that's kind of good, but when we start, right? When we start, and I wish I could just restart what I just built without rebuilding it, but there's no run button. So right, this here, at this moment, I want the background to fade in. So, but we can emulate that here as well, right? Okay, let's do a commit. Let's do a commit before we break anything more, right? So improve initialization in Unity. And we could go much further. This was just meant as an example. I'm not. I thought we disabled that. Right, so we put a lot of stuff in prefabs. We added some logging, we removed some logging, we removed some unused usings, which we probably can clean out. We manually instantiate the settings dialog, and we should do that for everything. This was just as an example, right? And also a good example, what happens if you do that late because you're lazy, then you get pain, right? We fix the execution order. We switched from start to awake with some tracing. We have a setter for game now to avoid this. We're doing something before, which is nice. Execution order removed. Removed the debug log and switched from start to awake. I'm not sure if I should. Do I commit these? Probably. But what I really wanted to fix is this, right? The initial fade in the initial game state, this here. As soon as you press a button, the background is correct, but I think it should not. To be honest, it should not look like this. Right, this looks broken and uninviting, so that is because the game, we started waiting for start, right? So I want a new state initialized, and actually the state is on the fish, sadly, right? So it's initialized. So in update, if we are game.state initialized, and it's still driven by the fish. It's still driven by the fish. We basically set state, game, state, waiting for start, right? We know that probably we should be in respawning or something and there's no update, we just go straight to waiting for start, right? So we get this state change edge, right? Just at the start. If you blinked, you missed it. So that is much better, right? So when we build the game now, and that's the release, what the player sees, 2 hours. I wanted to do 1 quick hour. Sorry. But tomorrow, I keep saying tomorrow, Thursday is a Godot day. Right, so we get this, we get the nice fade, and we get the background fade. And it's one smooth transition. We cannot get rid of the made with Unity. We probably could add a background there and some extra, but that's important if we release the game with Unity, right? And I'm not sure if we're going to do that. So polish initialization in Unity by fading in background after start. And I don't want to commit these, but I don't care, right? We just add the initialized state and start with that. And just like that, we're actually gonna play some full screen Fiiish. Doo-doop, doo-doop. And sorry about the sound debugging without you hearing the sound. That is not helpful, I know. It was a pleasure having you here. We're almost launch ready, and so the plan is to, okay. The plan is to have a version of the game as a pre-release alpha, whatever you say, in Steam store by end of next week. And it might be the Unity version, it might be the Godot version. Right now, the Godot version in store is a placeholder. Let's see how far we get there tomorrow. I want a demo build of this and a release build and a master build so I can toggle certain features easier. So we probably switch to Unity 6 before that, unless everything falls apart. I'm going to test that on a different machine. And then I'm going to take a small break of this and kind of go through all the videos we did and do kind of a result, right? What's a conclusion of this experiment? And if you watched, you kind of have a strong feeling of what the conclusion will be, but I want to do a fair assessment also. Cost, disk, RAM, build size, ease of distribution, all of that. Also stability. I mean, so far it seems to be rock solid. The nice thing is save games should be interchangeable. They're saved in different locations right now, but they should be interchangeable, which is nice. The background is super stable now, right? Maybe it was just the editor build that was a bit jumpy. In any case, thanks for being here. You know who I am. We're playing Fiiish and I die. Well, that's a sign, right? See you when I see you. Have fun. Bye-bye.